Left turn ahead. Recalculating. Your destination is on the right. Welcome to G.P.S.
Hey everybody, Alan Weaver here. 2 episodes ago, I talked about building the dream. And I had a Facebook response from Jose Ruiz who asked after watching the video, how do you tell the difference between a real dream and a pipe dream? So today, that's what I want to talk about. So the definition of a pipe dream is a hope, wish, or desire that is impossible or not practical. Now, before I get into the steps for how you tell the difference, let me first say 3 things. Number 1, just because someone says that something is impossible, that does not necessarily mean that it is in fact impossible. When it comes to your life, you will encounter some people who have sight but no vision. And this is because of their own fears, insecurities, failures, and limitations. So you have to learn that you cannot allow someone else's issues to become your problem. After all, you have to deal with your own limitations and failures and insecurities and fears, right? So just because someone else says that something is impossible, that does not necessarily mean that it is in fact impossible. The second thing is that many significant breakthroughs in history were first declared impossible by the experts. The experts said that we'll never have heavier than air human flight. And then the Wright brothers came along and built the airplane. The experts said that the airplane would never break the sound barrier, would never go faster than the speed of sound. But then Chuck Yeager and a team of engineers figured it out. So many breakthroughs in life were first declared impossible by the experts. And third, what may be a pipe dream to one person could be a viable and attainable dream to someone else. So the question is, how do you tell the difference between a genuine dream and a pipe dream? How do you figure out which dream is worth your time and which dream you should just completely leave alone? So here are 4 steps that can help you. And these steps are framed as 4 questions. So step number 1, the question you need to ask. Do I have a natural talent that is any way connected to the dream that I am trying to pursue? If you hate math and you can't do multiplication and division, then maybe the dream of being an accountant is not for you. If you have shaky hands, then perhaps the dream of being a surgeon is not for you. If you have no athletic skill at all, then perhaps the dream of going for the NBA or the NFL or the NHL is not for you. If you desire to be a singer, but you can't carry a note even with a bucket, then perhaps that dream of being a singer is not for you. A natural talent in the area of the dream can serve as an indicator that some aspect of the dream you are trying to pursue could be for you. Step 2, the second question you need to ask yourself is, are the skills to achieve your dream acquirable? Meaning, are you physically capable of doing the task? Can you go out and learn the skills that you need and apply it to your dream? If the skills are not acquirable and you are not able to do it, physically able to do it, then you are chasing a pipe dream, a fantasy. For example, for all you comic book lovers, if you said, I want to be Superman, immediately that's a pipe dream. There is no way that you can be Superman. Number 1, you are not an alien from the planet Krypton. So everything that Superman, the fictional character Superman, is able to do is because he's an alien from another planet. So that's a pipe dream. But if you said, okay, maybe that's too high. I want to be Batman. Okay, that's in the realm of possibility, most likely somewhat of a pipe dream, but still in the realm of possibility because Batman is human. And if you go through all of the steps that the fictional character Bruce Wayne went through in order to acquire the skills and the training and to maximize his human potential, his physical strength and mental agility, then you could become Batman. Also, if you had access to the vast amount of wealth that Bruce Wayne had access to, so you could build the tools and the equipment and the technology that you needed, you could become Batman. So that's plausible. That's plausible. But if you cannot acquire the skills and the training, then it's still a pipe dream to you. So are the skills to achieve your dream acquirable? Step 3, the question you need to ask yourself, will you do what's necessary in order to achieve your dream? Now, this is often what differentiates a real dream from a pipe dream. What you will do. What you are willing to do, that will make the difference. You see, every dream has its own requirement. So you have to find out what your dream requires and then make the decision. Are you willing to do what's necessary to achieve it? Are you willing to put the time in? Are you willing to put in the amount of physical and mental energy that it's going to take? Are you willing to put in the financial investment? Are you all of those things? Are you willing to place yourself in the right environment that's conducive for growth? Are you willing to do what is necessary to achieve the dream? If you say that you want to be a doctor, if that's your dream, okay, well, you've got to do 4 years of college, and then you've got to go to medical school, and then after that you've got to take some major exams, and then after that you've got to do 3 to 8 years of your residency, and you have to do all of that. So you've got 12 years approximately of work that you practice, preparation that you have to do before you become a full-fledged doctor. Are you willing to put in the time in order to do the work that is required to achieve the dream? See, this is an issue of alignment. Are you willing to align yourself up in the direction that you need to go in order to achieve the dream? Are you willing to take all of the necessary steps? Are you willing to be consistent, be persistent? Are you willing to be focused in on what you have to do? Are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? Are you willing to practice? Are you willing to study? Are you willing to be in this pursuit for the long haul? Are you willing to do what's necessary in order to achieve the dream? Now, let's say you've answered all 3 questions so far, and you're like, Alan, I've got it. I've got the natural talent. I'm acquiring the skills in order to master it, and I'm invested for the long haul. I'm working hard at my dream, at pursuing it, and I'm going and I'm going and I'm going. I'm studying, I'm practicing, I'm trying to open doors, but nothing's working. I'm hitting this brick wall, and it just seems like the more I do, the less happens. There's no noticeable progress. Well, this brings us to our 4th step, and this is a tough question to ask. And you have to ask yourself honestly, what if the dream is not for me? That's the 4th step. That's the 4th major question. What if the dream that I am trying to pursue is not for me? You see, every dream is not for everybody. You would need to know within yourself. You would have to take some time to reflect, to contemplate, to examine your heart and your mind, your feelings, your motivations behind what you do, to really come to grips with the reality that, okay, is this dream for me or is it not for me? Is this something that I should be pursuing, or is there something else I should be pursuing? And then you have to ask yourself this question: is my dream not happening because A, B, or C? Is my dream not happening because A, it's just not my time yet? It's just not my season. I'm pushing and nothing's happening, but it's just not my season. You haven't had your critical mass. You haven't reached your tipping point. Dr. Eric Thomas says when he's talking about success, that success takes time. Success takes time. He's a motivational speaker. He speaks all over the world. He's been speaking for over 20 years. And he says success takes time. The first 10 years, he really wasn't seeing much progress. Going into the second 10 years, the second half of the 20 plus years, things started to take off. So maybe it's just not your time yet. Maybe it's just not your season yet. Maybe there's still some work you have to do. You've got to gain more momentum. You have to gain more exposure. You've got to dig deeper. You've got to get that critical mass. You've got to get to that tipping point where once everything comes together, then boom, it happens. Your time is there. So is your dream not happening because A, it's just not your season? You've got to be able to know that. Is your dream not happening because B, there's something you're not doing? You've got to be able to look honestly. Okay, what am I not doing? Is there something I'm not doing? Is there an area in my life where I'm being lazy instead of diligent? Am I not following up on something? Am I not studying on something? Am I not taking, what kind of action am I not taking? You've got to be honest about what you're not doing. Are you your own worst problem? You've got to look at your consistency. You've got to look at your focus. You've got to look at, okay, are you working towards your dream every single day? Is there something that you're not doing? Are you the reason why the dream is not coming to pass? And then thirdly, is my dream not happening because the dream is not for me? Now, you got to be honest here. I mean, growing up, initially, I wanted to be a fighter pilot, or I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer. I love anything that flies. So those are the things when I was in high school, that's what I wanted to do, be a fighter pilot in the Air Force or an aeronautical engineer. But yet God had a different plan for me. I never imagined that I would be a preacher. I never imagined that I would be a public speaker. I never imagined that I would be a writer and a filmmaker. No, I wanted to go down this road towards airplanes. But yet God had another road for me to go down. So sometimes we're pursuing dreams and we're gung-ho about it, and it's something that we're interested in, and we've got natural talent and ability, and there are skills that we can acquire, and we're willing to do the work. Yet life happens and that dream doesn't happen, and providence kicks in, and there's something else that God wants us to do. Are we willing to let go of what we think is the dream for us and to allow God to show us what it is that he created us to do? Most people who are successful and significant and have fulfillment, a lot of times they had to drop one dream in favor of something bigger. They're going in one way, and then life happens, and then they can no longer go that way, but they discover something else. And it was that something else that really brought them fulfillment, and they were able to flourish in life. So are you willing to relinquish your dream? If your dream is not happening, you've got to be able to say, okay, is it because it's just not my time? Is it because there's something I'm not doing? Or is it because the dream is not for me to have? God has something else for me to do. And so you've got to be able to honestly wrestle with that and come to terms with those three aspects of that question so that you can move forward. Sometimes, God reveals to people when they're kids what it is that they're going to be doing. For most of us, that doesn't happen. So we can go the first half of our life not really knowing what we should be doing, or we think it's one thing and then we discover that it's not that thing. And so we have to be open, and that's a tough question to deal with, because we just want to keep pressing towards what we want, and what we want may not be what God wants for us. So you've got to be able to wrestle with that question and come to terms with that honestly for your life. If your life is to take off and for you to do the things that God wants you to do, that's going to bring purpose in your life. So I've learned from my own life and from the lives of others around me that your dream can be a pipe dream if God has something else that he wants you to do. So how do you tell the difference between a real dream and a pipe dream? Well, if you answer the 4 questions that I presented to you, then you'll be one step closer to figuring it out. So I'm Alan, and this is G.P.S. See you next time.